So welcome everybody to the April meeting on the 14th of April 2025 of the Finance and Compliance Committee. It's the last one of before we have our AGM. So before we go into anything, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody on the committee who's helped with giving some good grant awards this year, and for all the hard work everybody has put in, including all our officers as well, because they do things like set up the meetings for us and make sure we have all our files. So from me, I'd also like to thank Pam as the Vice Chair as well for her help as well this year. It's been a very interesting year for me, because the reason I went for this chair is because I wanted to learn more about finance and the procedures about it. And so I think it's helped me a lot in that way, although we always keep learning. So anyway, thank you all. And so, Ian, any apologies for absence?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Any declarations of interest, anybody? No? Okay, so next thing is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting of this committee. We've all had a chance to read them. So would anybody like to propose that they're true and accurate record? No? Is that a hand, Phil? You're on mute.
Sorry, just have.
Give you a chance to scan them all again then.
Yeah, happy to propose.
Okay. Thanks, Phil. Anybody like to second them?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Okay, so number 4, any outstanding actions from the previous meeting, Ian?
Just the one, Chair. It's quite an old one, actually. It goes back to October 23 in relation to the RFO obtaining quotes from the Gower Electric Company. And we still haven't had any update on that, I'm afraid.
Right, okay.
So there's no change to the, but there's been one outstanding action.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll carry that on anyway. Okay then, so number 5 is budget monitoring reports. Were there any questions for Paul on this, Ian?
No questions came to myself or Paul, as far as I know, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much. So can I take it to the vote then that we approve the budget monitoring reports to the 28th of February 25? All those in favour? Thank you very much. Do we also have to look at the Austrian ones as well now, Ian?
I was going to ask Paul that, but he's off this week. I assume it's all part of the financial reports.
Yeah.
That's how I took it anyway.
It's just because I had a separate one with...
That's correct. It's a lengthy document, but it's all figures and facts. But I assume that's all part of Paul's financial reports, really.
There we are. Thank you for that. Okay, so the next agenda item is the sculpture by the sea.
Sorry, I do have a question.
Oh, sorry,
I have
Carrie.
got my hand up. What is being done about Paul's request for environment for the Ostream?
I have no idea.
I have no idea, Carrie, I'm afraid.
One assumes this committee should make some decisions about it.
Shall I create an action to ask him?
Yeah, I mean, that could have been done in a question to Paul. I mean, when the things got sent out. So that could have
Well,
been.
I think he's noted the fact that they need environment, so surely it's for us to actually acknowledge the fact that he has pointed that out. An email wouldn't, we can't do environments by email.
No, but maybe raising it as a question for Paul so he could have answered it would have helped. But okay, I take your point that we need to acknowledge that he's asked for environment. So we'll take that to the vote then. All those in favour of acknowledging that Paul has asked for environment for the Ostream Centre?
Should we not be making some recommendations about where we think the environment should come from?
I think that's a question for Paul as the financial officer to
Okay.
identify. I would have thought, and that's why I'll bring you in now, Sarah. But I mean, those questions could have been answered if we'd have asked Paul. Sarah.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about I'm putting my hand up automatically, but I don't know enough to know which way to vote. It'd be good if we had Paul's advice. Thanks.
I agree. Ian?
Yes, I agree with Sarah's point there. I really do think we need a bit more background information to this as to what sum of money is one talking about, where's it being taken from, and it's all very well saying it's going towards the Ostream, but in what context? Is it for the future development of the Ostream? I can only assume that would be the reason, but I think there needs further information on this.
Fair point, Phil.
It's not on the agenda anyway. I haven't
It's
seen
not on the
anything about
agenda.
it.
No. Phil?
No, it's not on the agenda, but it is part of the agenda items because the budget monitoring report for the Ostream is part of what we approve every month when we go forward to council, and it has been noted that there is overspend on that. If everybody takes a moment just to check the Ostream budget monitoring report, which is in the pack, there are certain categories underneath there which are highlighted in red and marked for environment. The question is then, do we look at covering those costs out of current budget from elsewhere within, or do we wish to recommend that we take it from contingency? And is there anything left over from last year that we can use without dipping into this year?
I think that needs more clarification from Paul, really, doesn't it? I'd be happy to defer this to next month and ask Paul for more clarification on where he intends to take this money from and to answer any questions that can be put to him on this. Are you all happy with that?
We could defer it to next month.
Could I just ask
Or
a question, please?
Of course, yes.
I've got the budget monitoring report for the 28th of February. Is that the one that you're talking about, Phil?
it's the one in the pack there. So this is the one that
Yeah.
goes up to the end of February. Yes, Ian.
Because there's nothing on this report. There's
The
nothing in
Ostream
red.
Centre.
Sorry to interrupt you, but there's two sets of reports. There's a normal monthly one,
Yeah.
but also Paul's prepared one in relation to Ostream.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll try and find that then.
Well, I think certainly more clarification is needed before we do an official vote on this then. So I propose that this goes into next month's agenda where Paul identifies what money he wants to take from where and for what. Phil?
Yeah, I was just going to say we could easily do that, but of course we have a full council meeting before our
I've got
next,
it, yeah.
and it may be that we could kill two birds with one stone, and Paul could make those recommendations that part, and we could knock it on the head then.
I think that's an even better idea. Carrie, is that what you wanted to say?
Well, I'm not quite sure what further clarification. It very clearly shows that we are overspent on, say, the water bill. We need to
Yeah.
put some extra money in that budget line. You know, it's
Mm.
it's not for the RFO to move money around. It's for this committee to make recommendations to full council and to full council to agree the environments.
Yeah, I don't have the
Yeah.
document in front of me because the document is on my iPad. Don't raise your eyes, please. The document is on my, and I just asked you not to raise your eyes, please, Carrie. The document is on my iPad, and I'm staring at the screen of my iPad on Teams, so I can't do the two things at once. Questions for Paul are supposed to be submitted in advance of the meetings, and everybody's had a chance to submit questions to Paul for anything they wanted, and nobody has.
I haven't got
Excuse
a
me, I brought
question.
Phil
The
in.
questions have been raised by Paul.
Excuse me,
I
Carrie.
don't have a
Yeah.
question for
Excuse me,
him.
Carrie.
It's this
Carrie.
committee that
Sorry,
should
can
be
I-
making the
Carrie,
decision.
Carrie,
Ca-
I was calling Phil in.
Go
Can
on,
I,
Michael.
may I interject?
Yes, please.
Just for clarification purposes, for those of you who cannot see this document at the moment, there are 1, 2, 3 points on this monitoring report which Paul has actually suggested transferring from contingency to be requested.
Right.
We could recommend that we move forward with those. And where environment is required in the others, 1, 2, 3, 4 areas, it would look that there is possibly underspend in other budgets that we could allow Paul to pull from those budgets in order to vie from.
Where is he recommending, Phil, that we via from?
Transfer from contingency has been suggested by Paul under the fees for the health and safety consultant, under the scribe booking system, under janitorial supplies, where there's an overspend of 495, and unfortunately on the business rates.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we happy for Paul to via those from contingency?
No, this is the contingency. That's the ones I've just read out.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
The ones for environment are fees for a relief cleaner. Oh, sorry, it was janitorial supplies. I misread that one earlier. And broadband and telephone and water.
Right.
So which one did I get wrong under the transfer and business rates? Scribe booking system.
No, there's just 3 for.
Yeah, it was just
contingency.
3 to transfer from contingency.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Are you all, excuse me, Puss, are you all happy to take a vote on Paul to take those from contingency?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's go for
Yes,
vote.
I am.
The vote is that we ask Paul to take that money from contingency.
Yeah.
Via it over. Okay, thank you very much all. So the next
I
one.
could suggest that for environment, I mean, looking at it, there's like £2,500 which has not been used for insurance, presumably because insurance is all now covered centrally by the community council. You know, that looks like something that could be used for some of the overspends on water, broadband, janitorial supplies, etc.
Okay.
So, you know, we could make that suggestion to Paul, that, you know, it would appear there's also, I don't know, there's £1,000 for a music license. I've no idea why that is unspent, but, you know, it appears to be unspent.
Okay, Martin?
To be honest, Carrie's just covered some of what I was going to say, because I was just wondering in the other areas where the environment was coming from. But I think maybe in that instance, because Paul hasn't included a suggestion there, which he has for the other areas, Maybe that is something that we need to consult with Paul on. But really, the question I was going to ask was just answered by was just covered by what Carrie said, to be honest.
Okay, then. So we voted on giving Paul the authority to via that money. We'll also have Ian ask Paul about those underspends Carrie has raised and find out what's going on with those. And if those, if I get it right, could go back into contingency. Is that what you meant, Carrie? You're on mute.
They don't go back into contingency. No, none of this is to do with contingency. He's made a recommendation of 3 that are contingency. The others are virement, so that he's looking to move them from one budget where there is underspends to a budget where there is overspends. As I said, if you look at it, there are several categories where there is an underspend, and therefore potentially there is the option to use that underspend to cover the overspend in the highlighted areas. There's also an additional £5,784 of income. We have obviously taken more income than was set in the budget, and therefore there is a surplus there which could also be used.
So what are you suggesting with that?
Well, that we suggest to Paul, we have looked at it and can see there are these underspends. Would he, be happy if we recommend that they are taken from those particular underspends, specifically, insurance, music license, or that it comes from the additional income surplus?
Right. So are you saying that we should use these underspends instead of contingency?
No, there's 3 which he has requested are transferred from contingency. There are 4 others where there is virement required.
I see. Yeah. Not having it in front of me, it's hard to see. Okay. Are we all happy then to have a second vote on Paul using those underspends to pay for the other overspends on the Ostream Centre? All those in favour? Okay, thank you very much. That's unanimous. Okay, the next one is the Sculpture by the Sea UK grant for 3,350. At the last meeting, we asked for the schools to have their input and say how important they feel that this to go ahead is. And I can say, and I'm sure you'll all agree, we've had overwhelming support from the schools that they all think that this is a really valuable addition to the school kids' learning. Is there anything anybody wants to say against this, or should we just go straight to a vote? Are you all happy to go straight to a vote on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So the vote is for £3,350 to contribute towards the Bee Sculpture Festival in 2025. All those in favour? Okay, unanimous. Thank you, Ian. And the last one is the Newton Athletic Football Club grant for 1,500 to contribute towards the Newton Athletic Football Festival, which is held at Underhill every year. Anything anybody would like to raise on that?
Chair, can I
Yes.
make a point? Kerry was going to circulate something to yourself. I don't know if you received it, but the rules have changed slightly, because when Newton previously applied for this, they just did what we had been doing up to that point, where 3 bank statements were produced, etc. Obviously, the rules around grants have changed, and Newton Rangers, or Mumbles Rangers rather, don't provide annual accounts, which is meant to be part of our new guidance. And I think Kerry wanted you to be aware of that when you.
Okay. But this isn't for Mumbles Rangers. This is for
No.
Newton Athletic.
Sorry, Newton Athletic. I beg your pardon, Newton Athletic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Kerry hasn't mentioned this to me.
It's in a series of emails which
Yes, I'm just looking now because I haven't.
between Diane and Carly from
Yeah.
the football club, Newton Football Club. She has provided bank statements, which you have.
Yep.
And I've also included the original application in the pack as well.
Yeah. Ian, Kerry hasn't said that we can't award this, has she?
No, not at all. But I think she wants you to be aware of that. That's all.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, anything anybody like? Oh, there's a couple of hands up. I can't see who's in order, so I'm just going to go clockwise. Ian.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think Mr. Hughes has explained it quite well. What I would add is that the Newton Athletic have scored very highly on the new system. They've had 13 points out of 14, and of course they've fallen down on the fact that they do not provide annual accounts. They've provided the necessary bank statements, which they've done in the past, and looking at the different correspondence, I think they've then found themselves in a slightly difficult position because they haven't got.
No, they're
these,
fine. It's
these
just that they don't.
Hang on, Phil.
Pardon?
One time.
Apologies, Ian.
No one.
What, sorry?
Ian, continue. Carry on, please, Ian.
Oh no, I'm just stating the facts that they've scored very highly, so they get all the necessary benefit of that. It's just that they do not have a system of providing an annual account. The bank statements show that they have got monies in their accounts, and I would add also that the grant is for a football fair or festival for them to put on for the children. So it's up to the committee as to whether I think we could add a proviso that in any future grants we would be looking to have the annual accounts to ensure that the monies are going where they're meant to be going.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Phil,
Right.
did you, before I bring Tim in, you did have your hand up. Do you want to say anything?
Yes, and apologies, Ian.
That's okay.
I didn't mean to talk across you. Then I was Sarah and I were just double checking the grant application. So yes, I think this is very important that we support this. And basically, I was just going to say that we should recommend this to full council. Obviously, append with the appended note that it doesn't quite meet the high criteria that we've set. As long as we note that, I think as a committee, you know, we're covering and being open with the public about why we're slightly bending our own rules on this particular one. But I think it's naturally something that we would support, and I think it's a very reasonable sum that they've asked for.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just looking at the grant application on page 3. I know, Chair, you don't have the access. I can just point out the question 14, the total cost of project is £5,000. Then question 15 is how much you're requesting from MCC, which is 1,500. That's what we discussing today. But then if you look at question 16, what amount of funding are you requesting from other bodies? It says 300 to 500 from local business. Is it just whole amount requesting from other bodies, or 3 to 500 from each business? It's not clear to me here.
It's not clear.
Then-
Okay.
And question 18 says how much they are committing to this with their own sources, which is £1,000. So the figures don't add up here. At least question 16 isn't quite clear whether this is 300 to 500 from businesses in total or each business. So I would just want to clarify these figures from question 14, 15,
That's
16
fine.
and 18. Thanks.
That's fine, Tim. I mean, I can't answer on behalf of them because I'm not a member of Newton Athletic. But what I imagine, and I'm sure we can all probably agree this, is that they're asking businesses for £300 to £400 each, rather than a lump sum of all the businesses. I think that's pretty sort of, we can assume that quite confidently, I think. So that's what I would say. I mean, they probably asked Dawson's, they might have asked Laura Johnson. There's various businesses that support local events like this, and rather than have one business cough up for the whole thing, I think they've trying to get lots of people involved to help with that. Anybody else got anything they want to raise or say, or should we take straight to the vote? Okay, we'll go straight to the vote then. So all those in favour of awarding the 1,000, let's get it back up, 1,500, isn't it? Yep.
Correct, yes.
Please raise your hands. Okay, carried unanimously again. And that's the end of the meeting, I believe. There's nothing else on the agenda. Nice short meeting, less than half hour. It's not our record. I think our record was 3 minutes, which was very short. Okay, thanks very much all. Date of the next meeting, Ian, is...
Oh, pull me up there, one sec. I haven't set them because it's the new financial year, so I was waiting for confirmation.
Right.
But I would imagine it'll be the same going forward. It has been the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Which is the second, isn't it? Second Monday of the month.
Yeah. There we
I
are.
think.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Hughes.
So that's another recommend. Those 2 grants are recommendations.
I'll put those. Yeah. And I'll send you a copy. I'll do the minutes tomorrow, Rob.
That's absolutely fine.
And shall I stop recording?
You can stop recording. That's fine.
Bye for now.